This week didn't go to plan. Life got in the way, barely any time for practice, and by the time I actually sat down to race, the week was basically over. One of the last sessions running before the whole week reset. Imola though, that's not just any track for me. It's the place I broke 2K iRating, the closest thing to a personal landmark this hobby has ever given me. So there was a strange kind of pressure. No prep, no laps, barely any feel for the track beyond whatever muscle memory survives since I was last at Imola. Just show up, strap in, and hope I have a smooth race. Spoiler? It wasn't going to be that simple. Lights out, and I get nothing. A bad launch, plain and simple. I lose a position before we've even reached Tamburello, and the race is about 10 seconds old. T2 delivers the usual carnage you get from a full field trying to fit through one corner all at once. Someone turns across the nose of the car next to him, loses it completely, slides across the grass, and somehow misses the race leader by inches. The leader takes evasive action of his own, sends it across the sausage curbs on the exit of T3, and nearly wipes out another car in the process. All of that, and I haven't even braked yet. T4 and another car is drifting through like it's Shibuya Crossing. Behind me, 2 more cars are having their own disagreement. The green car overcooks it, nearly puts himself in my rear bumper, understeers wide and takes the other car with him. I don't have to do anything. Just get to watch it manifest in my mirrors. Honestly, all I want out of this race are clean laps. Doesn't need to be fast, just clean. This is my one shot at Imola this week. No second sitting if it goes wrong. Variante Alta. Heavy on the brakes, and the guy behind clearly isn't ready to start thinking about corners. He nearly rear-ends me, bails across the grass rather than commit to the contact. Another one avoided. Finally, a gap. Clear behind, and a group ahead I think I can actually reach if I stop watching the mirrors and just drive. Lap 2, and I managed to do the exact thing I just watched everyone else do. Get the braking badly wrong into T2. No ready excuse for this one. Could be my footwork, could just be me. Something about the braking this week feels off, and I can't quite put my finger on why. Different to last week's fixed setup, more intrusive, if that makes sense. Some corners it's perfect, barely a touch of pedal, and the car just rotates in. Other corners I've got to keep my foot planted for what feels like forever before I can even think about trailing off. Whether that's the ABS behaving differently on this track or just my own lack of practice catching up with me, I don't know. Probably both. Lap 3, and the gap's coming down. The group ahead are too busy fighting each other to notice me arriving. Into T7, one of them's under real pressure from behind, forced onto a defensive line he's clearly not comfortable with. He locks up, slides wide, loses the corner completely. One car gets through clean, the other doesn't. 2 positions gained without me doing a single interesting thing. Just being in the right place at the right time with just enough confidence in the tyres. I try to latch onto the back of the next car and get greedy doing it. 3 separate off-tracks in the corners that follow. 3 penalty points collected for my trouble, but I stay in touch. And then it happens. The single most infuriating thing sim racing has to offer. The car in front starts blinking. Bad connection presumably, though it doesn't feel any less personal when it's happening in front of you. I'm right on his gearbox into the last few corners, but I get the same slide I'll apparently be getting all race on the final bend and hand back time down the straight. Lap 4's more of the same. Stay on him, study him, work out where he's weak. Every lap behind someone is a lap spent learning exactly which corner they don't trust themselves in. Meanwhile, on the Delta, the car behind is slowly closing the gap. Lap 5, and I'm finally close enough to try something. Good run out, and I pull what's becoming my move of the month. Fake the dive, pull straight out into his blind spot. Just like last race, I'm in deep on the brakes, fully expecting to back out of it. But he brakes early, gives me the gap, and I go through clean. A few corners later, last corner of the lap, same story as every lap before it. I get the slide, he gets the better exit, and takes a bit more of my advantage down the straight and starts closing in. Lap 6 though, this is where things get complicated. Now before I get into the next bit, I do want to do something a little different. What happens in the next few corners is genuinely one of those moments where I'm not sure who's in the right. So instead of me just telling you what I think, I'm going to show you exactly what happened, cut it together properly, and let you make your own mind up first. Drop your verdict in the comments if you've got one, and I'll give you my actual take on it later in the video. Roughly halfway through the race, and somehow I've gone from 8th on the grid to 3rd. On paper, that should feel incredible. In the car, it mostly feels like an accident I haven't finished having yet. There's a car all over my back end, and the honest version of events is that I'm not thinking about defending 3rd place. I'm still thinking about what just happened a lap ago. I pull left after T7 to set up the inside line into T8, which is probably the right defensive move in a vacuum. But my head's somewhere else entirely, still replaying the incident, and I make a call I wouldn't normally make. I just give the position up. T8 into T9 is not the place to be fighting for a spot with half your attention somewhere else, so I don't. The next stretch, I won't pretend was exciting because, well, it wasn't. The guy behind me was closing slowly, but the numbers still didn't add up. I've done the mental maths, and as long as I keep it tidy, his pace wasn't quite enough to actually get it done. So that's what those laps were, watching a gap shrink just enough to keep me alert, but never quite enough to actually threaten anything. Then, for reasons I genuinely still don't understand, he just pits. No warning, no obvious problem I could see from behind. 1 minute he's there, the next he's gone. And just like that, an already quiet race gets quieter still. Nobody near me for what might as well be miles. Even if someone back there had race-winning pace, they weren't closing that gap in the laps left. Or so I thought. Out of the pits comes exactly the car I did not want to see. The one from the incident. I'd seen him in the chat before the pit stop, and it read like he was putting the whole thing on me, so I'm bracing for it a bit, genuinely wondering if he's about to use the rest of this race to make a point. But he doesn't. He pulls over, lets me by. No fuss, no message, nothing. Which honestly threw me more than if he'd just had a go. It goes quiet again. And there's a weird trade-off that happens in races like this one. You spend half the race hoping nobody near you does anything stupid, and then the moment you actually get that, some part of you almost misses the chaos. Clean air's good for the result, it's not exactly what you put the headset on for. Last lap. Simple job. Get to the end. Car behind isn't fast enough to make a move on pace alone, just don't do anything stupid. Naturally, that's exactly what I do. Too wide into Tamburello, clip the grass under braking and the ABS just gives up on me completely. There's zero stopping power. Steering wheel might as well not be connected to anything. Straight over the dirt, and somehow I keep the position, but I'm a passenger in my own car for the next few corners. No grip, no confidence, and the car behind smelling blood. I give him the inside into T8 and let it go, rather than fight it with a car that currently has the structural integrity of a wet cardboard box. And then he does something bizarre. Slows right down into T10, so much so that for a second I'm convinced it's a brake check. I nearly put myself into the back of him, have to dive wide and completely ruin the corner in the process. And that's the checkered flag. 5th place, up from 8th on the grid, 2nd fastest split out of 6 in the group, 1 race all week and 1 genuinely unresolved controversy still hanging over the whole thing. Which brings us back to it. Time to actually talk about that incident. So, after the incident, I get a message saying, pick a line. I'm still not entirely sure what he meant by it. If it was about the run into the corner, I was on the racing line the whole way through. I didn't have to pick a side as long as I'm not reactively swerving. I can sit slap bang in the middle if I want. He's the one who sent it up the inside and didn't have the room to make it stick. Whether he actually went off track or not, I genuinely can't tell you for certain. He was right on the edge of it, close enough to the solid white line that it's a fair argument either way. Should he have rejoined more carefully if he did go off? Maybe, but that's not really the part I want to focus on. Because here's my actual mistake. I saw him cross my windscreen, drift wide, and made the assumption he'd completely missed the corner and dropped away, and turned in like the space was mine, and, well, it wasn't. He was still there. That's not his fault. That's just me reading a gap that hadn't actually opened yet. But for what it's worth, and if you do disagree with me, feel free to let me know in the comments, I don't think either of us were clearly in the wrong here. I think it's a racing incident. He was in a marginal spot on track and I made a bad read on where he actually was. 2 separate mistakes at the same moment, adding up to contact. That's about as textbook a racing incident as it gets, in my opinion. What happened right after, though, that's a different conversation entirely, because whatever leeway he might have had with me, it's hard to extend the same benefit of the doubt to this. I'll see you in the next one.